and lay around or mope and ask, why is it happening to me? But there's so many people out there that would love to have a chance to be on a team, much less see what I've seen and do what I've done. So I can't be mad at it. I mean, I'm lucky to be able to watch.
Michael's not a star anymore. He sees limited action, and there's no more talk of an NFL career. This year's chance for another title will be Michael Thompson's goodbye to football's big stage.
This is Michael Thompson's Super Bowl, and we're going to make sure he goes out on top.
Matt, I remember what a factor he was in your championship season beating FSU. What kind of inspiration has he been to this team since he's come back?
Tremendous. The young players watched the highlights of our national championship season, and Michael started every game through that season, leading tackler in the national championship game. Special player. He's made one of our most special plays of the year with the fake punt against Alabama this year. That was, was a big part of getting the momentum back and winning that game. Our players love him. We all love him.
Just the idea that a guy would crutch to the bench press and then do weights after that is amazing.
It's hard to believe, John, what people don't realize. He just started off just lifting the bar, not barely being able to walk, barely being able to move his leg. People don't realize the severity of where he was and what he's come back from.
I think when people look at this national championship game, they know that they're going to see two terrific defenses. Do you think you have an advantage because of Jason White?
Hopefully. Jason White's a great player. But players need to play with them. You have to protect them. Players have to come open to get them the ball. So, like always, this is the ultimate team sport, and that's what wins for you.
I know Nick Saban. They're going to blitz Jason White from pregame, I think, in this game. He's going to see every blitz possible. What do you do to get ready for that?
Yeah, you work against it, and that's not unlike anything we've seen all year. Yeah. People forget Kansas State blitz very little. We've seen a lot of blitz throughout the year. That's nothing unusual. And we'll try and blitz them a little bit too, Terry.
When we look at the way things are set up now, I know that most people agree there are 3 deserving teams to be playing in this game, but we can only have 2. USC did a terrific job last night. They're going to get a share of the national championship. How would you fix this problem we have now?
You know what, John? It cannot be fixed, and it's okay. This isn't professional football. We can't keep putting these kids through extra weeks of playoffs and extra games to satisfy the media. Our coaches, administrators, everyone understands the situation. We've had a lot of years where it's been perfect. Everyone says, let's play an extra game. Well, in 2000, we're the only undefeated team, and we won the national championship game. Is it fair that we would have had to play another game? So some years, yes, some years, no. It's never going to be totally right. So, hey, it's the best we got. It's pretty good, and if 2 teams end up with it, is that all that bad?
No, not at all. USC seems to be pretty happy with what happened yesterday, and they're going to get the AP poll and be champions. Bob Stoops, head coach of Oklahoma, looking for a second national championship. Won the first one by beating your dad, as a matter of fact. And we'll continue with more from the Big Easy in New Orleans in a moment. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl continues.
For Nick Saban and his Tigers, a fan frenzy has followed their every step in a Big Easy. Bob Stoops and the Sooners fueled by this hostile environment. The moment in hand for LSU's number 18, senior Matt Mock, and the opposite number on OU, a Heisman Trophy winner, Jason White. Which man will seize this night? Inside the Sooner sanctum, 88 minutes to kickoff and time for College Game Day.
One game for the one thing we all covet. The Sooners and the Bayou Bengals, yeah, you gotta love it. Kansas squad rebound from the debacle. In the Big 12 title game, it's on the top. Full of hungry ones from Baton Rouge, players in their home state. It all comes down to this. Steelers have their own fate. Mr. Heisman, Jason White faces what might be the toughest he's seen. He got a play at your strike. Sensational Bob Stoops goes for number 2. Nifty Nick Saban says for now they wanna do. Here we go with LSU and mighty Oklahoma. It's in the air, take a sniff, smell the aroma.
He's got it! Touchdown! Tigers!
Antonio Perkins, 3 punt return touchdowns.
Hello.
Built by the Home Depot, proud sponsor of college football's premier pregame show.
Are the toughest of tickets, the tightest of security in the Superdome here in New Orleans, and running out into this Cajun-flavored cauldron of noise, the Oklahoma Sooners, the #1 team in the BCS standings. LSU ranked #2. This has been a wild scene here in New Orleans all week, and it's about to get even wilder. Welcome to our College Game Day countdown to kickoff for the BCS championship game. Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Kirk Herbstreit. Guys, we know this much. The glory earned here tonight is going to probably have to be shared with USC. Trojans in the clubhouse. They had a comfortable 2-1 margin in first place votes in the AP before their 2-touchdown victory in the Rose Bowl. Likely to win the AP vote when it comes out at 2 a.m. But that really shouldn't taint this thing too much, I don't think.
It shouldn't diminish it at all. Congratulations to USC. They've won a national championship. But the build-up all week for this football game feels like a national championship game. You have over 100,000 LSU fans in town, over 50,000 OU fans in town, and only 75,000 people are going to get in here. This might be the most sought-after national championship ticket ever.
No question. You know what it reminds me of? A heavyweight championship fight. Remember the anticipation?
Yep.
That's what it feels like to me. Now, I want to make one statement. I feel that the BCS has made a mistake not using instant replay in this ball game. They have the technology, the people, and everything to do it right in the stadium. Hopefully, officials' judgments, calls will not determine this ball game, because with this intense environment, sweetheart, we could have all kinds of problems if they do.
Last year, he's in flashbacks to the
how about Florida State?
Yeah. Those were Big 12 officials a year ago. Big East officials will work this game tonight. Reports on both camps. We're going to start with the winners of the SEC, winners of 7 straight games, and Tom Rinaldi with the Tigers camp.
Thanks a lot, Chris. With Nick Saban, Coach, you've talked about keeping a normal routine all week. How has your team handled this atmosphere?
Well, you know, we've really done a good job. I think later in the week, when more and more people got here, it got a little more difficult to handle the clutter, especially when we're outside the hotel. But I've been pleased with our preparation overall.
What are the last few things you'll tell your team before they take the field?
Well, I think the most important thing for us is to play with the identity that we've created as a team all year. And, you know, what I told them before is the size of the battle shouldn't create the heart of the warrior. And, you know, whatever our heart has been all year, the way we've competed all year, the attitude that we've had is what we need to play with against a very good Oklahoma team.
Oklahoma creates many formidable challenges, but if you had to key on one to control this game, Nick, what would it be?
I would say big plays, whether they come in special teams or with their offense or their defense, you know, making big plays and converting them into scores or whatever. And I think that both teams have done that, and I think whichever team does the big play turnover deal the best is going to, you know, have a great advantage.
Nick, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Nick Saban undefeated in Dome Stadiums. One more victory gives LSU the national title. Chris?
Their first since 1958. Let's have bon temps roulette if that happens. This New Orleans is going to come apart if they win the national title here tonight. Meanwhile, for Oklahoma, #1 ranked for 16 weeks. Average margin in those wins, 35 points. They were being labeled prematurely one of the best teams in history. 5 first-team All-Americans, award winners all over the place, of course, including Jason White. And then that gargantuan thud in the Big 12 championship game. Undressed by Kansas State. They lost by 4 touchdowns. How will they react? Here's Shelley Smith on the Sooners' mindset tonight.
The Oklahoma team arrived here about an hour ago. Earlier this morning, the university president asked the director of the CIA to address the team, and he did, giving them a motivational speech. When the team got here, Coach Bob Stoops walked out onto the turf and greeted the many Oklahoma fans who are already here. He knows this is going to be much like an LSU home game, and he knows he needs those fans to be as loud as they can for the Oklahoma Sooners. Chris?
He's already given his first pep talk of the night to the fans. You know, Stoops said, you guys, meaning the media, have made us feel like underdogs for the last 3 weeks of this game, even though they're the favorites tonight.
He likes that.
He loves it.
He likes that. This game really could be played in Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. This thing holds close to 80,000. You had to expect LSU will have over 50,000 fans in here. And I look at Oklahoma, it's so important for them to play with poise early in the game, kind of weather the emotional storm, deal with the atmosphere of realizing that you are playing on the road. The other thing is they need to reestablish their confidence and their swagger that they played with all year long up to the game against Kansas State, because they've been talking the game, but now they've got to go out and put it on the field and believe in themselves again. They need to play well early.
And I would use the Kansas State plan if I was LSU, because I tell you what, it worked to perfection. First of all, they hit and hit and hit and kept hitting Jason White till they forced turnovers. Number 2, they threw deep, and I would throw deep early to keep these LSU fans in it because they love deep passes down here in Louisiana, and be very, very aggressive but sound in all phases of the game. But you know what I would do if I was LSU? I'd put the pressure on number 1 favorite Oklahoma. Keep putting them on it to the full 60.
Well,
I'd pressure them.
A couple years ago, we talked about Nebraska's mindset off the huge loss coming into the Miami game. I don't think it really mattered in that game. You know, Kansas State game, that game was in Kansas City. Oklahoma didn't handle that very well, and that was nothing like this environment.
Not even
much
close.
more balanced. If you want to look at a tail of the tape item coming into this game, look at how the opponents fared in the bowl games. Big edge LSU. The only team that beat LSU was Florida. That's the only opponent that lost the bowl game. Georgia, a team they beat twice, won their bowl game along with Auburn, Ole Miss, and Arkansas. By the way, a head-to-head win for Ole Miss against OU opponent Oklahoma State in that conference. The Sooners dominated all year until the K-State game. Has not fared well in bowls. It could be a factor.
My reaction to that is what happened to the Big 12 in the postseason. But, you know, I'll have my football team ready to go.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
Stoops.
and I tell you, they play the best football in the country in the LSU. Tigers, SEC. Watch them.
Dueling bad impressions here. Stick around. We got a lot more coming up. Talk about the off-field heroics of some Sooners, including Mark Clayton. Plus, Jason White, Chad Lavallee, game plans, Mike Stoops, and, of course, predictions all coming up from the Superdome.
The Home Depot is more than a store. It's how to go from cluttered to clean. With everything you need, like closet organizers and storage shelves from Mills Pride Closet Made and Workforce.
Superdome countdown to kick off with an Nokia Sugar Bowl. A reminder, Big Monday presented by Bud Light returns. Rick Barnes' homecoming game, Texas Providence, and then Kansas and Colorado. It all starts 7 Eastern time on Monday night. We talked about Oklahoma being one of the most individually decorated teams in history. Enough awards to fill up that Sooner schooner. But it's easy to overlook 2 Sooners who should be recognized for courage they displayed off of the field. Defensive tackle Lynn Magruder, wide receiver Mark Clayton were riding back to school in June when they were nearly involved in a fatal car accident. Faced with a split-second decision, the 2 juniors helped out a family when that family needed help most. John Barr, the player, says the story of the players who performed under pressure when the spotlight was off.
The road is full of chance encounters and near misses that pass us by in a blur. This is a story of how unlikely events can collide at full speed.
There was this small red car hurtling at us.
And in that second, they came across the median and hit us head on.
The first thing I asked was, how's my family? Where are they?
Bruce Smith and his family were on their way back from vacation last June. On I-35, by mile marker 100, a Ford Escort crossed the median and hit them nearly head on. The driver of the Escort was killed. The Smiths were trapped in a smoking van.
Once the red Escort hit the van, I immediately just went into shock, really, you know, because then I knew it was serious. And then everything just slowed down, like slowed all the way down.
It was the scariest thing I've ever witnessed and went through, ever.
Lynn Magruder's truck broke down that day near the Texas-Oklahoma state line. His teammate Mark Clayton saw him stranded and gave him a ride. When the two saw the accident just 2 cars ahead, they were forced to make a split-second decision.
Sparks, and you don't know how it's going to ignite the gas and how it's going to blow or whatever, so I was just trying to get our whole thing was to get everybody out the vehicle before anything happened.
Magruder kicked out a back window. Clayton tugged on twisted metal. They helped pull the Smiths to safety, one by one.
And then everybody started going real fast and just pulling on stuff.
It's adrenaline rush of no other. I mean, I've never been through anything like that in my life.
And we're just thankful that they were placed in that situation, that they were big, strong people that had the ability to knock out windows and open doors in a perilous situation with the possible imminent danger of fire.
You know, that shows their true nature, that their immediate response was to help and not to stop and think, am I going to be injured doing this?
Clayton and Magruder insist they did what anyone would do. The Smiths believe something else.
The accident and the events for sure afterwards were just one miracle after another.
I know that we had our angels out there watching over us. Who knows what would have happened if they hadn't been there.
Bruce Smith in that accident broke his pelvic bone. He was in a wheelchair or on crutches for months. Now, there's one humorous aspect about this story. Smith is an Oklahoma State fan. There was an Oklahoma State bumper sticker on that car. He says he still can't bring himself to root for the Sooners tonight, but he has no problem rooting for Clayton and Magruder individually. What a great job on those two
that great
players.
story. Can you only imagine every single human being that's ever been involved at the University of Oklahoma has got to be so proud of Magruder and Clayton. Isn't that a great story?
It's great to see a story about players like this in a situation where we all like to think we would do the right thing or react in the right way. And here's an example of two guys that did the right thing. And these people were very, very fortunate that both those guys ended up showing up at the time they did.
Coaches and players always talk about maybe learning some lessons you can apply in life on the football field. Who knows? Quick reaction, quick thinking, performance under pressure. All that'll be important tonight here in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. Much more on the Sooners and the Tigers when we come back to the Superdome.
Welcome back to College Game Day, built by the Home Depot.
The home state Tigers touching off a frenzy a minute ago in the Superdome as they take the field. They beat Illinois here a couple of years ago in a Sugar Bowl. Focus on the coaches now. A couple of very tough, focused, ultra-intense men who certainly inspire strong loyalty from their troops.
The mentality that Coach Stoops has instilled around here is like, you know, you don't want to lose, and when you lose, it's a huge blow. I mean, we set our goals out every year to go undefeated, and we're still playing for a big deal. And I think the biggest thing is now we got our backs against the wall. We're going to be able to play on the edge again.
You really hear stories about, you know, coaches that really don't have relationships with their team, you know, and coach can come in meetings and talk to us either like a father, like a friend, or as a coach, you know, and I think that's something that's impressive.
Brightest coaching stars.
Well, you can look, the mirror image of Stoops and Saban. They turned around, revitalized, very proud programs. Stoops, of course, winning the national championship in his second year. This is the fourth year for Saban. A lot of money on the line here. You know, Stoops is the highest paid coach in college football league, and Nick Saban has that clause in his contract. He gets a basically $1 million raise, $1 more than Stoops. If he can you imagine coaching a game with $1 million bonus on the line, and Stoops has a 6-figure bonus at stake too. Maybe they deserve it, though, you think?
Life is good, boy. I'm telling you one thing. These are two of college football's brightest coaching stars. And I'm going to tell you why. They're successful because they're tough, they're intense, they're single-minded. And they demand intensity, perfection, and loyalty from every person involved in their program. The players love them, they respect them, and they play hard for them. And I'm going to tell you something. Chris. I've been in situations like this. Neither one of these staffs are going to outcoach the other one. But I'm telling you, mark it on your calendar, the team that wants this one most will win it, like Ohio State did last year.
When were you in this situation as a coach?
No, $1 million. I mean.
Okay. All right, joining us now is the new head coach of Arizona. But, Kirk, I think he has a little bit stronger interest than you might think in this game tonight.
Well, you're talking about the head coaches involved tonight. And, of course, Mike Stoops headed to Tucson as the head coach now at Arizona, but still involved in a way tonight in this football game. How tough is this, and what will your role be tonight, Mike?
Well, it's been very tough. The whole week has been kind of strange for me to be here in a backup role. Now that I left to go to the University of Arizona. It was the right decision for obviously Oklahoma to move forward in their program, and for me personally to move on with my players at Arizona, and professionally and for all parties. I think it's been a great transition. It gives Brent Venables a chance to show what he can do and showcase his talent.
So now you're going to be involved in this game. Let's talk about the keys to stopping this football team in LSU. You've looked a lot of tape. LSU is a team that has to be able to run the football. Talk about how do you stop Justin Vincent and how do you slow down the Tigers' running game?
Well, they're very talented running backs. They're great, very talented players. To begin with, they're very physical up front. They like the toss play you see here. The toss is probably their #1 play that Oklahoma will have to defend. So you'll see the toss quite a bit, but that's going to be critical for whatever defense I think has the best run defense is really going to set up the rest of their defenses.
It seems to me that the screens, LSU will screen you from all over the place. Again, if you put yourself as a defensive coordinator, how do you stop these screens if you're OU tonight?
Well, the screen plays to these teams are like outside run plays. The screen play hurt us in the Kansas State game, so I would anticipate you'll see a lot of screens tonight, wide receiver, jailbreak screens over the middle, and running back screens as well.
And the last key to this game is the play action and the the deep ball. LSU has hurt people in the last 5 or 6 games with Matt Mock getting vertical. Again, what can be done to slow this LSU deep game down?
Well, here's a deep ball you see by Mock throwing off the play action, and that, again, goes back to the #1 thing we said, stopping the run. He throws the ball best vertically off play action and boot passes, and if Oklahoma is good on first down, putting them in predictable situations, I think they'll have a hard time throwing the ball vertically. But if they're able to run the ball on early downs and get ahead of the chains, then I think it comes much more difficult to defend.
So we're an hour from kick. You're one of the more animated coaches in college football, and you're telling me you're not going to, if LSU's moving the ball, you're just going to sit there?
It's going to be tough. You know, like I say, leaving Oklahoma was very tough. Watching this game from a perspective like you, it's going to be very difficult, and it's been a hard week. But it's something I'm very appreciative for my time at Oklahoma. But I love my job at Arizona.
Well, you said like me, real quick, 10 seconds. Who wins this game, objectively?
Team defense wins championships. You know me, and we're going to need a performance, or Oklahoma's going to need a performance like the 2000 game.
All right, well said. He's already diplomatic as an analyst in his one time until he gets done in Arizona. Chris, it's interesting to see how this defense will respond without Mike on the sidelines.
He's got the Arizona name over his heart, but I know it's going to be hard with the Sooners. Can the Sooner defense cope with 24-year-old Matt Mock? We'll meet him coming up from the Superdome. Inside of an hour to kick off for the Nokia Sugar Bowl. Matchup between Oklahoma trying to win its 2nd championship in 4 years. LSU trying to win its 1st national title in 4.5 decades. If you watched Peyton Manning knock off the Broncos, welcome to Peyton Manning's hometown. And there is the quarterback for Oklahoma, Jason White. He's got enough screws at his knee to set off the metal detectors coming through security here tonight. He brought Oklahoma their 4th Heisman Trophy winner, put Tuttle, Oklahoma on the map, and made his parents' home, Ron and Sue's home there in Tuttle, a tourist attraction. But it's not the 40 touchdowns for Jason White this season. His toughness and his dedication are what impress his teammates most. Here's Shelley Smith.
Jason White leads his team into tonight's national championship game with 2 rebuilt knees, the Heisman Trophy, and unmitigated respect from his teammates.
I see guys that get 1 knee injury and won't even try to come back. But Jason goes and rehab hard. He has 10 scars on 5-on-5 on each of his knees, and that's my soldier, man. Every time I look out there, that's my general. I'll do whatever he tells me to do.
I think they're all pleased, you know, that they have one of theirs that's won, you know, the Heisman Trophy, and I believe each one of them takes pride in that they were a part of it.
Considering that Chris Winkie and Eric Crouch won the Heisman and then lost the big game, were you secretly kind of hoping that Jason didn't win it this year?
No, I wasn't. I don't believe much in that.
It's the same thing with the SI jinx and every other jinx that we've had this year. So, you know, you don't even think about it.
He plays for the University of Oklahoma. I believe been in the spotlight for a while. And I don't think Jason have a problem with that. He won't even strike the Heisman pose if you tell him to, if you ask him.
Interesting to watch how White responds to this tonight. All the crowd noise being under center. Coming off his first poor game of the season against Kansas City. He was knocked around and ineffective.
I think he symbolizes really the Oklahoma attitude and wanting to just get back out on the field again and have a chance to prove that he's worthy of winning the Heisman Trophy. Unfortunately, he's doing it against a team that does not allow any big plays defensively, and he has to have time to throw, and they have to beat man coverage for him to shine tonight.
And he's doing it in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, as a former coach, I respect a lot of things about Jason White and what he's done on the field, but most of all, his determination and his effort to get back on the field. And I just think that determination makes him special. And I'm excited he's coming back next year, because this is a guy we should use as a role model for what college football should be like. This guy's a great young man.
Name me a quarterback who really lit up that LSU defense this year. There wasn't one. Florida beat him, but it wasn't because of Chris Leak. They beat him with defense. Meanwhile, for LSU's Matt Mock, here's a guy who has bounced back since that Florida loss. In his last 7 games, is a 69% passer with 18 touchdowns. He's 24 years old. Nothing seems to rattle this guy, including noise like this. Let's go to Tom Rinaldi with Mock's story.
Well, Chris, maturity. That's the word most closely associated with Matt Mock. But he's earned that tag on a winding journey, a detour through another sport to a painful injury. Now a better quarterback and a better leader.
Throws it down deep, and there is Skylar Green. He's got it! Touchdown!
Question: when is a 24-year-old an old man? Answer: when he's a college quarterback.
People talk about senior citizen card and, stuff like that too.
Tell them you're getting old, man. You might need to hang the shoes up.
It was funny, some of the freshmen there were talking about how they were in 6th grade when I graduated high school and stuff.
With Malk's age has come experience. In high school, he signed to play for Nick Saban at Michigan State, but chose another life and another sport instead.
I got the opportunity to play professional baseball and took it.
After 3 years as a minor league catcher and first baseman in the Cubs organization, for Malk, the game changed from joy to job.
When I woke up, I didn't want to go to the ballpark, and for me, that kind of was the end. It said, hey, there's no reason to do something if you're not enjoying it.
By 2000, the coach who recruited him to Michigan State had moved to LSU with an open invitation for a former quarterback.
Looking for the touchdown, and he has it!
A year later, Malk led the Tigers to an SEC title win over Tennessee. But after a 5-1 start in 2002, he tore ligaments in his right foot to end his season. The injury proved a turning point.
Spring practice, he really couldn't run. We wouldn't let him run, and nobody would touch him. So he really kind of had to make it work by becoming a drop-back passer.
You just kind of had to sit in the pocket and forget about guys running at you because you couldn't move anyway. So that was really the key that really helped me out.
I saw him go to a person that wanted to make plays so bad, who tried so hard that sometimes made him cause more mistakes, to a person that was so confident that all he had to do was go out there and just play.
Throws long, got a man wide open. Touchdown, LSU.
This year, a healthy Malk used his experience to set an LSU single-season record with 28 touchdown passes. The old man gets the respect of an elder and of a leader.
I think a lot of players look up to him. He's got great sense when you talk to him, and he helps the other players, and he's willing to do that.
To me, it's, you're out here playing because it's fun. I mean, it's kind of secondary. You come to college to get an education, and just while you're here, you have a great opportunity to be able to play football and to meet a lot of great people. And so that's the way I kind of look at it.
That seems almost laughable now, but both these quarterbacks were labeled in the preseason possible weak links for their teams. Look at the one-loss records. Look at the statistics. But as good as they are, these two quarterbacks, as mature as they are, I hope they treated their offensive lines very well this week, because it's a difficult matchup for both O-lines against the defensive lines, both of which are very good, make it very tough for quarterbacks to excel, both these defenses.
Boy, if I was LSU, I'd come out smoking in all faces this ball game and put pressure on Oklahoma, especially early, deep for the big one. You know why? Because against Kansas State hit 4 plays of plus 60 against Oklahoma. Interesting note, in 3 games previous to that, Oklahoma had only given up 2 plays of 20 or more yards. If I was LSU, I'd come out and test that defensive confidence.
Well, they need to get, Oklahoma needs to find their confidence early in this football game. Now, on the other side of the football, the reason OU led the nation in scoring at 45 points a game is their ability to hit the deep ball in man-to-man coverage, but tonight's going to be their greatest challenge by far. LSU will blitz from everywhere on the field and play man-to-man coverage 90 to 95% of the time. That means Mark Clayton, the go-to guy, needs to be ready to go. He's the best threat that Oklahoma has at getting downfield and against press coverage. This is a little trick play, fake to the screen against man and go downfield. Mark Clayton will be moved all over the place with Oklahoma's offensive schemes just to see how LSU's defense will respond. Will Peoples, Jawan Rankins, and Brandon Jones are key factors in this game, because Mark Clayton could get special treatment by the LSU defense. Somebody else on Oklahoma's receiver set needs to make a play.
They might move him around to get him away from Corey Webster, that tough physical lockdown corner. Michael Clayton for LSU. He's got a tough matchup as well. Derek Strait, the Thorpe Award winner. Great individual matchups on the edge to watch in this Nokia Sugar Bowl. A lot more coming up. More in the game plans and the predictions, of course. Sooner frenzy here on hostile territory.
So who'll be #1? The Nokia Sugar Bowl tonight on ABC.
You're watching College Game Day, built by the Home Depot.
Bob Stoops maintains this is the BCS system we have to live with. Don't tell us that we're to blame for the system's problems. They come in ranked #1. Of course, the BCS certainly has its critics, and we uncovered one right down here in his home state.
American universities have split the atom. They've won a gazillion Nobel Prizes. You can't tell me if we can't have a playoff in football with one national championship. I mean, to do it in Division III. I mean, just blow the damn thing up. Just pour some kerosene on it, light a match, and boom. Blow it up. It's simple.
James, playoff plans are everywhere. They come in all forms. They had a whole boat. I just forwarded these to you. These are fans' playoff plans.
That's enjoyable.
Got to live with the BCS for now, though. Tough to compare this to the Rose Bowl a couple days ago. That was a classic Rose Bowl. The patriotic flyover with the stealth fighter, Tommy Franks, Marcus Allen, Desmond Howard, Woodson, Lott, Brady. But it was nothing like this atmosphere, folks. Ticket prices in the thousands. The French Quarter has been impossible to describe this week. The atmosphere in here now reminds us of the '93 Sugar Bowl. Alabama as an underdog had the huge crowd edge and just mugged Miami. Here's the Tigers' thoughts on playing in their home state.
It's just something that's going to move this whole state. I mean, we know it's going to be wild and crazy out there, and it's just something you try to take advantage of and try to use it to the best of your ability.
It feels unreal to me to be able to say that I played the national championship in New Orleans, 45 minutes from where I grew up and lived.
A lot of us have played in the Superdome in the past, you know, be it state championships or just high school, and then, you know, playing in the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. You know, I wouldn't say it's a big advantage, but I'd rather have it than not have it.
You know, when they played Illinois in the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago, it got so wild, a bottle came flying out of the stands. Nick Saban had to take the official's mic, walk to the field, speak to the LSU fans, and try to calm them down. Hope we don't have a repeat of that tonight. How will the Sooners handle the frenzy? Here are their thoughts.
In the end, what matters most is how you play. If you play well, you hear your crowd and you don't hear theirs. If they play well, it doesn't matter how many are there, you're going to hear theirs and not yours. So we'll have enough to hear if we're doing well.
They're going to have a lot of fans, and it's going to be just nuts. I mean, I've been down there before, and those people, they love their Tigers. The crowds do a lot in football games, but I mean, ultimately, it's play between the lines.
You know, I think it's been a tough week of preparation. USC got to practice at home before playing the Rose Bowl. Didn't have the crowd edge, but there's a lot of distractions for LSU getting to this point. Now, once they're here, it's got to help.
They got a number of advantages there. First of all, they're playing inside. They're 9-0 inside. They have won 9 straight. Number 2, they're playing on the same turf. Yeah, the same turf that's in the Georgia Dome where they clobbered Georgia a couple of weeks ago. And last but not least, the crowd noise and everything else. And let me tell you something. This is the toughest team and toughest environment Oklahoma has ever played in. And Kirk, I'm going to write this down, but I'm going to tell you, Oklahoma better be better. They better be a lot better to beat LSU in here. LSU got a tremendous advantage of playing in here.
Man, I don't know how Oklahoma's going to handle it.
I don't know either.
I really don't. I mean, they were the invincible team going into the Big 12 championship game. They got embarrassed 35-7. I don't even know why they're here tonight. Really. We should just pack them up and send them back to Norman. That's what Bob Stoops has been talking to his team about. For 4 straight weeks, Oklahoma has had to endure and hear that they don't deserve to be in this game. I think that Bob Stoops is probably going to use that as an incentive, an equalizer to all this purple and gold.
Well, maybe the Bama-Miami game we talked about, or Nebraska at Miami in a couple of those vintage Orange Bowls, but I don't know if there's been a bigger challenge for a team in a bowl game than what the Sooners have to come up with tonight.
I mean, everything's against
all right.
I mean, you got
we talked about some of the sports celebrities who are on the sidelines at the Rose Bowl. Tom Rinaldi's with a guy who's got a very strong rooting interest here tonight. Tom?
Thanks very much, Chris. A famous LSU alum, David Toms, from 85 to 89. We know you guys are good, but what have you thought about these Tigers?
Well, I just think it's great for our whole state of Louisiana, for the university, and all the fans. I mean, as you've seen this week here in New Orleans, it's been crazy, and it's great to see. You know, it's something that I think LSU's deserved for a long time. We finally got the right man to get us there, and good quality guys. That's the thing. They have great leadership and a great team.
If it were up to you, how would you determine the national champion, David?
Well, I'd have to say right here at the Sugar Bowl, but, you know, I think there is a need for some sort of a playoff system. You know, I think the winner of this game to play USC would be a heck of a matchup next week and would bring a lot of fans, a lot of money to college football, and it'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Finally, I understood you got a little phone call from Tiger Woods interested in challenging you on this game. What happened?
Well, I sat down in my seats here in the Dome about 20 minutes ago. My phone rang. I picked it up, and it's Tiger Woods, and he said he had $100 in Oklahoma. I said, well, I won't be back till February, but I'll collect my 100 then.
David, thank you very much. David Toms, not a part of a national championship team on the golf team in the late 80s, but he certainly hopes his Tigers win a national title tonight. Chris?
Golfers betting. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Tiger, you got to get in the mix because the Cardinal, it may be a long time before the Cardinals show up here.
See those guys at the Mercedes Thursday on ESPN, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We'll come back, talk about the special teams edge, game plans, and predictions as the countdown to the Nokia Sugar Bowl in the Superdome continues.
Maybe life would be simpler if everyone were exactly the same. Same tastes, same incomes, same credit scores. Instead, life is messy, wonderful, and full of surprises, like how easy refinancing with AmeriQuest can be.
Welcome back. A special time for the NFL Prime Time presented by Miller Lite Playoff Edition, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Sports Center to follow. Have plenty of post-game coverage after ABC Sports broadcast of the game on SportsCenter and ESPN News. We'll have the press conferences as well. Well, Nick Saban knows that special teams a key factor in this game tonight. Antonio Perkins for Oklahoma, of course, brought those 3 punt returns back for a touchdown against UCLA. But Skylar Green will be wearing LSU's uniform tonight, actually #1 in the country in punt returns. So excellent special teams. Both these teams use a lot of starters on the special teams.
No question about that. And Oklahoma has the better place kicking of the 2 teams. And Oklahoma has scored 20 special teams points, touchdowns, since Bobby Stoops has been at Oklahoma. Now LSU's pretty good too. LSU has scored or set up touchdowns and points 17 different times this year. These are well-matched special teams and great special teams.
Well, you know, these offenses have the ability to score points.
Yeah.
The problem is these defenses are so dominating, it's going to be a game of field position and special teams. And you're right. I think Oklahoma gets a slight edge because of Trey DeCarlo with the place kicking, but also something to keep in mind. Chris, you touched on Skylar Green. You imagine averaging 20 yards per return. If he has that kind of success tonight, that's a big advantage for LSU.
Also keep an eye when LSU is punting the ball because their regular long snapper on the punt suspended for this game. So Gant Petty, who's been the snapper on the field goals and the point after touchdowns, but has not snapped for punts before in a game, steps into that role. Now, he's looked good in practice. Saban says not really a concern, but
a little different.
Hasn't done it under fire yet with the Sooners coming after him. Just something to keep an eye on. You know, Shai Carey is also suspended for this game, but the bigger concern is the long snapper. We talked about Oklahoma's defense, one of the most dominant in the country, which made that Kansas State loss when they gave up 35 points all the more shocking. And since that loss December 6th, for almost a month, this defense has had to be barraged with criticism, putting very good defense on the defensive. John Barr has more on how the star-studded group is trying to bounce back here tonight.
Screen pass, caught by 40 by Sproles, 45, 50, 45, 40, he's gone. Touchdown, K-State.
Since I've been here, I've never been out in the field and been drove on like that. I mean, it's just play after play.
I mean, everyone still kept plugging and chugging and kept trying to go, but anything short of a miracle was definitely going to be a loss.
You know, it's just, we just kind of sitting back and you just couldn't really believe it. I remember I just kept looking at the scoreboard. I kept looking at the scoreboard just time after time after time.
In its Big 12 championship loss to Kansas State, the Oklahoma Sooners defense gave up 519 total yards, the most ever during the Bob Stoops era. And the aftershocks are still being felt in Norman nearly a month later.
It was hard. I mean, it's still hard. It's something that I think a lot of us are going to, you know, live with for a long time.
You go from, you know, everybody's champion to a bunch of chumps. Sure, you know, you're, again, you want to stand up, bow up, and show that, again, one, you're more than deserving to be in this particular game.
I think we definitely have something to prove. I mean, we have something to prove to ourselves. Our pride took a big shot in that Big 12 championship game.
The Sooners will attempt to restore their pride without the architect of their defense, co-defensive coordinator Mike Stoops, who left to take a head coaching job at Arizona. Stoops' departure, and especially the criticism in the wake of the K-State loss, have left Oklahoma with a noticeable chip on its shoulder and something to prove.
It sure is a better position, too, than everybody patting you on the back for how many weeks. Sure, it's not a bad situation to be in.
I want to be the underdog. I want everyone to think LSU's going to, you know, bring it to us. I mean, I think kind of turns the tables, and we hadn't been in that position in a while. I think that we're a better football team when we're in that kind of position.
If you listen to what everybody else say, a lot of people wouldn't be in the places they are today. So, I mean, you feed off the negative stuff and turn it into positive energy, and I believe you will see it January 4th.
Oh, a little smile for him. You know, Teddy Lehman played a great game against K-State. He was not one guy who slacked off, had 5 tackles for loss in that game, leads the team for the season. He's won the Bednarik and the Butkus Award, and he will have his sights set on Justin Vincent and those LSU running backs. That's his job.
And this is a game of revenge, really, for Oklahoma's defense because of the way they played against Kansas State. Again, they've been talking about it a lot, but they don't have their leader. And I think that's going to be something that's interesting tonight. Mike Stoops, who we talked to earlier, is going to be on the sidelines, but he's not going to be in there calling the defensive schemes and making the adjustments. How will they react to not having Mike there?
Great point. Let me tell you something. One hidden factor in this football game is that Oklahoma's new defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, has never called the defenses for the Oklahoma football team. And I know as a former head coach, you never knew how assistants were going to react under pressure situations like this. So if I was LSU, I want to see if I can jump on him early and see if old Brent will choke up. That's what I really would like to do.
That's 4 times you said jump on him early and throw deep.
That's right.
I know what your game plan is. Let's go to Shelley Smith with a special guest on the Sooner side. Shelley.
Former Congressman and Oklahoma Sooner J.C. Watts joins us. J.C., what is your impressions of this Oklahoma team?
Well, it's wild and crazy here, and but you know, Oklahoma usually performs pretty well when the backs are against the wall. When Bob Stoops feels like it's me against the football world, I'll take our defense on that one.
All right, how do they stop LSU?
Well, I think it's you know, we've been pretty good defensively all year, and I think we've recovered from that hangover from December 6th, and I look for us to come back tonight and play with a lot of pride, and I like our chances.
Seeing all this is make you want to play again? You want to get out there?
Nah.
That's over, huh?
That's over. I could probably watch film for them tonight.
Thanks, JC. Back to you guys.
JC with a casual look. There's Mr. Perkins. Can he take one to the house tonight? He's also got responsibilities, of course, as a corner in that Sooner defense. Predictions coming up.
College Game Day, built by the Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
Our buddies from ABC getting set to take over at the top of the hour. John Saunders, Craig James, Terry Bowden take you through the kickoff. Game will be called by Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson, Jack Arute, and Lynn Swan. This place has been full for a couple of hours now. It's an amazing scene in here. You got LSU purple and clad fans wearing Mardi Gras beads trying to will their team to its first national championship in 4.5 decades. And here come the Sooners in our corner over here, wearing the red, trying to get their team a second championship in 4 years. A Sooner team that's the favorite here tonight, but having to answer all their critics and the critics of the system who say this game is somehow tainted. The Trojans await the outcome of the poll in a few hours from now. Break it down for me, guys.
Well, LSU's defense, as we've talked about all along, is built around pressure. They're going to blitz and blitz and blitz. The key to that is being able to handle it in pass protection and the wide receivers beating the man coverage. It's a physical style man coverage. Let's take a look at the EA Sports virtual playbook to look at what OU has to do in this case to be able to have success moving the football. As I said, LSU, you watch this football game, if you haven't seen them, they're going to blitz from every angle. The running backs protecting, and then the wide receivers getting downfield against the press coverage. Imperative because Jason White throws as good a deep ball as anybody in the country. The second thing is setting it up for the screens, drawing that pressure towards Jason White, getting the blocks downfield, get the ball to the back. You have to be ready to get rid of it. Give Ronaldo Works time to get downfield. Now, without Oklahoma having a running game, it is very, very important in this case that I don't think they're going to be able to sustain any drives, and because of that, they're going to come out and they have to hit the deep ball. If they can't hit the deep ball in this game, they have a lot of problems because you can't move 80 yards in 13 plays. It's either the deep ball or nothing.
Again, that's award-winning stuff. That's great stuff. And let me tell you something now. To disrupt that great, wonderful Oklahoma offense he's talking about, led by Heisman Trophy winner Jason White, who's thrown 40 touchdowns, my friends from LSU got to come out. They got to hit him. They got to hit him. They got to keep hitting old White until he forces turnovers. And this is my favorite guy, number 84, Marcus Spears. Watch him. Boom. Oh, is he a player? Lionel Turner, number 58. Remember, LSU has intercepted 9 passes in the last 5 ball games. They're ready. Now, LSU has scored a school record 6 defensive touchdowns this year. And listen to this. Only one of the 12 football teams they played, Arkansas, scored more than 20 against them. LSU can play defense as well as Oklahoma.
There's so much emotion here and so much intensity in this game. I think fatigue is going to be a factor for both of these defenses.
Yep.
I think as the game wears on, the fresher defensive line, the one that's going to be able to still come after the quarterback, is going to have a big edge. It's going to be hot in here by the time the game gets over. Let's shift over and talk about when LSU has the football. And the veteran Matt Mock has to rely a lot on youth. This is an LSU offense that kind of reinvented itself in the second half of the season with a couple of very young running backs in Justin Vincent and Ali Broussard. A lot riding for a rookie in this environment.
Yeah, you know what I'd do first of all if I was LSU?
Throw deep. Yeah, I
Throw
got
deep.
it.
And then I would try to keep that Oklahoma defense off balance. I'd run reversals, screens, draws, and then I would establish the run right at Oklahoma. And I do it with this kid, Justin Vincent. Now, Justin was the most valuable player in the SEC title game. He had 201 yards rushing. He's a terrific runner. And then throw the ball deep to Michael Clayton, number 14. He leads the SEC in reception in 75 catches, and he's number 1 on their football team. Now, listen to this. LSU is an experienced team up front. They have a career combined record of 156 starts. Now, remember, the last time Oklahoma played defense, they had 35 put on them, and they got a new guy calling the signals. Question.
Well,
question.
You know, you're right about Matt Mock. He has caught fire here in the second half of the season. Last 7 games, 68% of his passes with 18 touchdown passes. You look at LSU, though, they have to be able to run the football. Their offense is predicated upon their ability to establish the run and then give the ball to Matt Mock to try to get the ball downfield, which means Oklahoma's defense. Lee, you're right, 35 points against Kansas State. And you know why they struggled? They couldn't tackle well. Let's go to a game where they did tackle well. Dante Nicholson, number 8, coming up, run support. That is going to be something that Oklahoma will have to be able to do. If you get them into obvious passing situations, that's where Dan Cody can come in and put the pressure. If you want to keep an eye tonight on Oklahoma's defense, a group of players to watch, it will be the safeties. Brandon Everidge, Rodney Poole, and Dante Nicholson. They've got to take away LSU's running game and then get Matt Mock into 3rd and long and then bring the pressure with Dan Cody and company. If LSU can't run, they're in trouble as well.
You know, Oklahoma has worked a lot on the fundamentals, tackling, hitting. They had a lengthy scrimmage in here. They hadn't had a full scrimmage like that since before this season, trying to kick off some of that rust. We've seen it throughout the bowl season. Quarterbacks ruling, offenses carrying the day, points, yards, 4.5-hour games.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be that kind of a game with defenses this good, which we probably will be.
And I think it'll be a good defensive play. You know what this game reminds me of? Remember when Mike Tyson, nobody could beat Mike Tyson, and Buster Douglas went pow and knocked him out, and that's what Oklahoma's like. They've been knocked out by somebody.
Who's Mike Tyson in this game?
Mike Tyson is Oklahoma.
Okay.
He got knocked out by Kansas State.
All right.
Are you really going to bounce back? I mean, I think that is a factor. The invulnerability of Oklahoma. Has it been knocked out for good?
Well,
Mike Tyson never came back after that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's look at the game. We're going to do the predictions now.
Yes,
you ready to get your hat?
Yeah.
Not yet. I just think that it's going to be one of these games where the atmosphere, can Oklahoma maintain their cool? Because look, we can just feel the energy in this stadium. It's favoring LSU. Oklahoma needs to show a lot of poise early, try to regain that swagger that we've been talking about. And if they play well early, weather that storm, by that second quarter, you all of a sudden start to look around. They've been hearing about it for a month, that they're not worthy of being in this game. You know they're anxious to show that they are.
Who do you like?
Well, hold on. We'll have predictions in a second, but I want to, you've said, both of you, you're on record as saying that USC, you would vote #1, okay?
Best football team I saw in person is USC.
So you would rank USC #1.
Yes.
This half of the national championship, who's going to win?
Well, I'd see a low-scoring football game. I think it's going to be a game of field position. Which team's going to be able to come out and play well and give their own offense a short field? Oklahoma has had to hear about this for 4 weeks, that they shouldn't be in this game. Bob Stoops rebounds after losses. He's 8-1 after his team has lost.
Right.
Oklahoma comes in, and they win the national championship.
Good pick. Now, I picked Oklahoma to be in this game, right?
Yes, you did.
I wore this beautiful tie, but
But anytime here comes Mike the Tiger Head, and that takes a lot of guts because we are right here in the Oklahoma corner of the Superdome. Eyes up, gentlemen. Enjoy on ABC Sports the Nokia Sugar Bowl for the BCS championship game. Plenty of post-game coverage on ESPN and ESPN News. We will see you then from the Superdome. A split decision on the set. It's fitting.